G'day guys, Matt here, Auto One Browns Plains, and today I'm going to talk to you about car batteries. Now, one of the questions we get asked is about car batteries and how long do they last. You can see here some of the car batteries out there have some really long warranties. This one here, supercharged battery, Gladiator battery, 60-month warranty, pretty long warranty. How long do batteries really last? Well, I can't answer that question just on the fly. There are a lot of variables out there. It's what sort of car they're in, what condition they're kept in. But let's just say it's not uncommon for batteries to last longer than 3 years. Now, there are a few factors to keep in mind what affects the battery's life. Now, we usually see batteries die during extreme temperature cycles. So things like the extreme cold and the extreme heat. So when things get hot, batteries in particular, they've got chemicals inside of them, and when they get too hot, they start to boil, and that chemical turns into a gas, evaporates, and there's less chemical there to make the reaction, which makes your power in your battery. So that's one way, that's the heat, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of the effects of going through that sort of cycle. On the other side is when it's too cold. Now, batteries perform better at, I suppose, a more normal sort of temperature, but when it starts getting cooler, they don't work quite as well. And what happens when it gets really cold is condensation can start to build up on the inside of the battery, and that starts to dilute the chemicals inside the battery. So these are two factors that impact on batteries. The other thing that can impact a battery over its life cycle is the charge system in the car, or even the charger that you might even use at home. So say, for example, normally your car alternator, if that's not performing or not working at all, your battery's going to go flat, and then you're going to shorten its life. Or if it's not maintaining a reasonable voltage that the batteries like to work within, so if it's not regulated properly, it can overcharge the battery, which leads to boiling, which is the problem we described before with the heat. So a similar sort of issue there. The other issue that you can consider is if it fully discharges, is left in a discharged state, you can get sulfate crystals start to form. And once they start to form, it's hard to reverse that. So you can lose plate surface due to these crystals, and that'll reduce your battery's ability to perform as well. Now, also the other thing to consider is things like corrosion. So corrosion, what I'm talking about is corrosion that might happen in your wires. But also it's quite obvious, you can see it build up on terminals as well, and that's just going to weaken the connection between the battery and the car, and that's going to reduce the potency of the crank from the battery as well. So there are some tips that we were going to give about how to make that a little bit more, prevent any issues happening there. The other things to keep in mind is just the age of the battery. You've got chemicals inside these batteries. They do degrade over time, also through the usage, and its potency is going to go down as it ages. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So how to tell if your battery is failing? Well, you know your battery's on the way out is when it starts to start a bit slower. But I'm going to keep going back to a solution to this, is bring it to us or bring it to someone that has one of these. This is a very good battery tester, and you can test your battery. Sometimes it might seem like it's starting slow, and all you need to do is give it a charge. So this device here will tell us the voltage of the battery and how much relative power it's giving out for cranking a car over. This one here this is a Midtronics unit. Quite smart. We can actually test your alternator and your starter motor on this one as well, so it's quite a good unit that we use. You do need to keep in mind that batteries are like a serviceable item, so you do need to change them over time. So expect that you're going to have to change a car battery sometime in your lifetime and the car's lifetime. Other things to keep in mind, so you've got the slow start. You've also got it's probably a bit beyond a slow start, is when your incandescent lights start to dim. So their brightness is affected by voltage. So it's just a sign that the voltage is getting a little bit low. Also, when you go to turn your car on, you know the sound when you just go and it just clicks. There's nothing really happening. It's not turning over, and that's your solenoid not getting enough voltage to engage properly. So it's just sort of in limbo, just trying to engage but not engaging. So you get to that point, just let it go, give the battery a charge, or get it tested. Other things, your more modern cars, they might have a light on the dash specifically for the battery. Maybe a check engine light comes on when the battery voltage starts getting low, or if the car's trip computer, some of them have battery voltage as a function on there, and you can check to see how the battery's going on there as well. Now, back to batteries overcharging, overheating. You've got when batteries start to swell. So if they start to overcharge or overheat, they start to swell, and this is basically them gassing up, the gas not escaping very quickly, and they start to bulge. Watch out. If this happens, stop charging the battery, get away from it, find a safe place to dispose of it, or get it away from things that are valuable, because they can be quite volatile. So you have to be careful there. And associated with that that action is also the rotten smell. So if you're not near the battery, you can't see it, but you smell something that smells like rotten eggs. Well, that's your battery gassing up and getting into a volatile state. So just be careful. So things to do to extend the life of a battery, making sure that your car charging system is working well, which we can test with these units. But the other one is giving your battery a good charge every now and again. There are a lot of different brands out there, but this is one of them. And this is a smart charger. This is an SP Tools 8-stage smart charger, and it'll do a range of different voltages, a range of different chemical compositions of batteries, and it'll put the batteries through different states of charge as well. So it'll try and revitalize them. So I spoke earlier about, what do you call it, sulfate crystals sort of building up on the battery, and this can, to an extent, reverse that process. So it is good to do it every now and again, and you'll find that your battery starts to perform better after doing a couple of charges with one of these units. So keep that in mind. Good tool to have in the garage, particularly if your battery's starting to get low. It's handy to have that so you can pop it up and get the voltage and the power on that battery increased yourself. What else? So we spoke about the connection to the terminals earlier and your wiring. You can get products to seal the terminals, which stops air getting to them and stops the corrosion. So you get a better electrical connection. So that one helps as well. And then you can start looking at things like, how is the battery mounted? If it's loose, is it getting vibrated too much? That'll affect the life of the battery, so make sure it's secure. Making sure it's, just say for example, you've got your car pretty well worked, you've popped a turbo in there that's massive and it's right next to the battery. Well, the turbo's going to get pretty hot, battery's going to get pretty hot, you're going to limit the life of your battery there as well. What else can we do? Bring it in for us to do the tests. I like to say a battery is a bit like your dad. It doesn't like the lights being left on, and it likes to keep on going. It likes to keep moving. So that's a hot tip for batteries. They like to be used. They like to be discharged. They like to be recharged. They don't like to be left discharged. So if you're turning on your accessories when the car is off, you might want to look into like a dual battery setup, maybe something with a DC-DC charger, solar panel, or something like that. And that's something that we have here that we sell and also install. So another service that we offer. And just choosing wisely. I mean, you've got a wide range of batteries, and you know, there's good, better, best, and there's even a whole different range in between. There are different chemical compositions that suit different tasks. So you'll see your typical starting battery is probably more like something like this is more like a calcium, like a lead acid calcium battery. And they're a wet battery, they're a traditional style battery, but you can get some more fancy ones if you come around here. We've got some Optima batteries here, and they're a different style of design. These ones here tend to have a pretty good life, but they don't advertise a long warranty period, but they tend to get pretty good life, and they're good at doing cycling, in particular these two, not so much that one. And then you've got your AGM, your deep cycle AGM battery. So we've got one over here that we can show. Your AGM battery, for a deep cycle sort of function, they're designed to run accessories for long periods of time. Whereas your typical car starting battery is not. It's designed to crank a car over quickly. So they're two different functions, two different battery designs for those sort of things. Now there are AGM batteries out there for the stop-start cars, and I'll see if I can find one. Oh, here we go. Right in front of me. So this is an AGM start battery. So like, quite popular with stop-start cars. They're a great battery. They do last longer, and they're made for that stop-start function. So just lots of restarts, and quite capable of running accessories as well. So they're a good thing. And different cars will specify what sort of battery they need. So you'll get cars that are built with this in mind, and you'll get cars that are built with these more normal cranking batteries in mind. Well, with that, I'm going to end on, if you have any concerns about your battery, or even if you just maybe write down your battery's birthday, come in, check it once a year, or if you know the warranty period, so you can see the warranty period on some of these batteries. If you know that warranty period is coming up to the end, test it before it's out of warranty. Do it while you can. And on that note, I'm out of here. See you later, guys.